can do it on Sunday.
Why?
When the wine's ready. When it's ready.
Well, it will be wedding. Because I've already said it'd be wedding in 2 days. Okay. Hi, it's Caroline. Welcome to my channel and my next video. At the end of the last video, you saw us put these 2 fermentation buckets onto heat pads, and we filmed the bubbler doing its job, which meant that the yeast had started to activate, and we were starting to make wine and beer. So that was 12 days ago. In all honesty, the beer would probably have been ready in about 6, the wine in about 7. There's no harm in leaving it any longer. Obviously, things get better with age. So as the process takes place, the sediment will go to the bottom of each bucket. What we did last night was we moved them onto the table. Obviously, as you move them, the sediment's going to move. So that now has settled back to the bottom. And we'll start with the wine. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to siphon the wine into a clean bucket. So obviously, again, we use a steriliser. All the equipment that I use today has been sterilised. We'll put it into the fermentation bucket, and then obviously I'll talk you through the rest of the process. One thing to mention, which is really important, is the specific gravity of the wine should be at 1000 or below. So that's a bit technical. I like this hydrometer. It's got all the numbers on anyway, but it's got colours. So it tells me when I start to bottle, when I should start the wine or start a beer, and when I should bottle or add sugar. So if this bobs at this colour, when I drop it in, then we're good to go to the next process. So lid off. Oh, here's one I prepared earlier. This has been sterilised as well. I'm going to drop that in. Fingers crossed, it bobs at yellow. Yes. Okay, so that tells me that we can siphon the wine. So here's the siphon that I'll be using. I invested a few weeks ago in one that's got this extra bit on the end, which means that obviously when it sits in the bucket, once the levels get down, it's not going to go any further down than that. So obviously the sediment will stay in the bottom of the bucket. So you might lose a bit more, but at least you're not going to get any nasty stuff. So I'm going to drop that in really carefully. Okay, we're nearly at the end of the siphoning. Whew. Okay. I'll just drop that back in there because it'll need to be cleaned and sterilised again. So what I need to do now is I need to stir the bucket for about a minute, and I need to do that about 2 or 3 times. So I've stirred this 2 or 3 times for about a minute at a time. It just gets rid of any CO2. And then the next stage is to add the stabilisers. Or stabiliser. Stabilisers is what you have on a bike, isn't it? Anyway, so I definitely needed one prepared earlier. So sprinkle on the stabiliser, and then I want to mix that well. Okay, that looks like it's mixed in. So I'm going to put the lid on, and then in 3 hours' time we'll come back because we'll be adding the finings. So lid on. Alexa, set a timer please for 3 hours.
3 hours, starting now.
After we finished that part of the wine process, we took a short break before we moved on to the beer. When we returned, my trusted assistant turned on all the equipment except for the microphone. So I'll tell you quickly what I did. I checked the specific gravity. I added 84 grams of sugar to the pressure barrel, and then I siphoned the beer from the fermentation bucket into the pressure barrel. So I've just transferred the beer from the fermentation bucket, left the sediment behind, into the king keg. I did put sugar in before, so I'm just going to give it a quick stir. I don't want any sugar at the bottom of the barrel. So I've given it a stir to dissolve the sugar. I've attached the... What is it?
It's a float.
I've attached the float to the tap.
How does that work?
Acceptable. I am a girl, okay? It's physics.
Okay, so
I don't get it.
can I try and explain how it works? Can
To
I
me,
try and explain to
you've
you?
already tried yesterday and today. I don't get it. I don't get it. It's physics. I don't get it. This is the float that has a ball bearing on it. Bit like a... What is it?
Okay, let's tell you what, right? Why don't I just say, how does it work, Kaz? And you can go, you pop this in here, you put the lid on, and it works like magic.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay?
Okay.
Right. What's that, Kaz? The bit sticking out of the barrel, and how does that work?
Okay. This is a valve.
No, it's a float!
This is a float. You pop it in there. Okay, so we're going to put the lid on. And then what will happen is the pressure will build. The float goes down. Something happens with the tube, and then it forces it up. And then when you turn the tap, you get the beer out. After losing the will to live, trying to understand floats and the physics of a beer pressure barrel, we're back to the wine. Rather than watch 5 minutes of me stirring, I'll tell you quickly what I did. After 3 hours, I stirred in packet 1 of the finings, and after another hour, stirred in the second packet. Finings help with the clarity of the wine. If you've enjoyed today's video, please like, share and subscribe. To be in with a chance of winning 3 bottles of this wine when it's ready, please leave a comment that starts with "Let's make wine." So, see you on the next video when we taste. Cheers!